All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome back. welcome. Good. Okay, we are good to go. Get everything set up. Boom. Chat's there. All right. Happy Monday. Happy Gap Up Day. Happy FOMC week. Earnings week. A lot of stuff. We got it all this week. They're giving all of it to us. Welcome back, guys. Alrighty. Yeah, I mean, definitely a little bit tough today. Definitely a little bit on the tougher side with the gap up, but we can create some spots. Definitely seeing our as expected, one day in the future. We talked about this on the live stream. You're gonna get the news that China and US are playing nice. So you're getting some of that. We're playing nice now. News, which is good. Good for the long term. Definitely should be a nice little day for the LT. Congrats to any longs over the weekend. That's very nice as well. But happy to see maybe some juice injection, a little bit of a juice injection today. Just got to be careful of the little low volume areas below, right? The little areas of low volume, which is the gaps below. That's really the only cautionary thing. Do we have to fill some of those to find that next beautiful long, or do we just sort of squeeze again straight to the upside? There is levels to watch for both of those scenarios. There's levels to watch for the pullback, and then there's also a level to watch for just a straight up off the open upside continuation trade. So we'll try our best to catch a move. Try our best to just be prepared. That's all we can do. All right. We'll wait a few minutes for some more people to jump in. Press that like button as you jump in. Okay. Is the audio still going out for you guys? That's still a problem, huh? For some people? That's very strange. Yeah, it looks good on my end. It might be something because people were saying that on Friday, and now we got, happening again here, so. Yeah. Everything looks fine here. Slight delay. Yeah, there is a little bit of a delay. I got to fix that. All good? All right, sweet. Yeah, Friday. So hope you guys enjoyed our Friday live trading. That was a good time. I had fun, even though it wasn't a big green day for me, but it was a well managed day in my opinion. It was just a normal L day for me. Took our shots, had some had nice one, had one nice one, had a loser. Kept things, pretty clear, pretty in control. Definitely, obviously I ended the day red, about $1,500, but nothing out of control. Took our shots. That's a red day for me. That's a normal red day. That's what our red day should look like, really, right? That's just a sort of textbook red day. Good trade, good attempt. Yeah, and then, idea was pretty valid. You can see hood now, of course. Yeah, Mikey, I see it. Obviously, that's just the difference between, bigger picture analysis versus short-term trading. So there's times where, I wish I would just sort of stay in a position thinking about the big picture, but, you can't take a short-term contract and then turn it into a swing trade just because you're losing on it, right? If my idea from the get-go was to be long on a swing, then sure. But, I can't turn just a day trade idea into a swing just because I'm red, right? That's the worst thing to do. So, okay. With that said, let's get started. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Let's jump right into it. So, today, big gap up on the S&P, on the NASDAQ. Big gap up on everything, pretty much, besides gold. Downside on gold, which is definitely a top watch of mine. I've cashed in a little bit on the gold this morning to the downside, holding some runners for break even now. So we'll see if those get taken out break even. I'm short at the 40.53 spot. So they're sort of close to break even, but took some off at 40.40, took some off at 40.32, and now I'm holding some runners on some gold shorts as we speak. So we'll see. I got my stop at break even on the runners. We'll see what happens there. I am interested in continuing to look to fade gold. That's just been sort of an interesting spot, interesting thing for me to trade moving forward as the market sort of calms down and moves back to all-time highs, which it obviously is. I think gold continues to just sort of fade after that big squeeze. So it's still very difficult to catch. It's a very monstrous trade. It's a very aggressive trade, and it does a great job at stopping you out. So whenever I get into profit on gold, I just put that stop right at break even. I ain't messing with it. I ain't playing games. So that's pretty much what I've been doing. If I can stab a nice short, get into some nice profit, move that stop to break even, and then see if it can run. If I get stopped out at break even, then I sort of reset and look for the next entry point. That's what I've been doing. It's been working nicely, but it's definitely been tough. It's not just, there's definitely been spots where I just get stopped out. Maybe I get stopped out of this one right now. So we'll see, but that is definitely something I'm watching. But let's go ahead and jump into our levels and our economic calendar to start. So let's go ahead and pull that up. Economic calendar. Here we go. You guys can see right here. Federal funds, FOMC on Wednesday, 2 o'clock. That's our main event of the week, 2 o'clock, FOMC and Jerome Powell, 2:30. Pending home sales, 10 o'clock on that Wednesday as well. Nothing today. And then Thursday, Friday, really nothing that major. So looks like just FOMC this week. That's our major economic calendar event. So that's that. The only other thing would be you have major earnings this week. So let's go ahead and pull that up real quick. Major earnings. Yeah, it's weird how if you just refresh the stream, it just fixes the audio, right? Why doesn't it work from the start? It's just so bizarre. Hopefully we can figure that situation out. Hopefully that's not... Yeah, if you guys are having audio problems, just refresh your stream. It looks like it's working for other people. I don't know even why that's happening, but I guess that's what we're dealing with now. We're always dealing with something. But here you go. Here's your earnings calendar, and you can see it's loaded up, right? No doubt about it. This is a loaded up earnings week. This is the earnings week. Meta, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Apple. These are the big five. These are the big boys right here. Those are market moving, right? That's market moving earnings. So market may look great now. Does it look good after Wednesday? Does it look good after Thursday? I would assume so. I mean, there's really no reason to be overly bearish on tech earnings. I don't see why you would. There's nothing that's in my mind that's saying, oh my God, there's a concern of growth. There's a concern of strength from these names. I don't really see it going on. I don't have any type of feeling on that. Now, if it does, then it would be a very big people would be very off sides, but I don't really see, Meta coming out and saying that their business is not doing well. Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Apple. I don't see it. So I would assume if there's any pullback on these events, it would be a buying opportunity for me. That's actually would be one of the best things, right? If you do get a pullback on these earnings, I think buying opportunity, just because maybe the market's too extended and maybe it needs a little bit of a pullback and you reassess and re-enter these names at better levels. That would be sort of my read for now. But today, Avis Budget, NXPI, Semiconductor, SoFi tomorrow. PayPal's been sort of hot lately. Enphase, Solar Energy, Visa, EA, which I thought got bought out. Didn't EA get bought out? They got bought out, right? Yeah, that's why it's just been sitting up here like terrible, right? Because it's just trading at the buyout number. So interesting if their earnings even... Yeah, I'm not even sure what the earnings would do if they're a buyout like that. But anyways, not that important to me regardless. Meta, Microsoft, Google, obviously big ones. Apple, Amazon, big ones. Eli Lilly, Healthcare, Merck, Healthcare. So regardless, big names, big earnings. Make sure you're aware of that all throughout this week. Okay? All right. With that said, let's go into our NASDAQ futures. Let's start there. And let's get a somewhat of a read here after some pretty gap up and frothy type action. Because we got to be sort of locked in today. And we just have to be aware of what is below. That's all, right? That's what we have to believe is below, or we have to understand what is below. So today, we can see that we have a Friday high of day and a CPI high. Those are two spots for me today that I will be watching right here. CPI high, Friday high of day. That's my first A-plus pullback long is right here between 25,570 and 25,523. Now, do we get that today? I think highly unlikely. I think that's very highly unlikely. Do we get this pullback today? I'm not sure. Maybe we do. All right, maybe we do. If we do, then I would say, hey, this could be a nice sort of refuel and push back higher for the next upside move, right? That would be my first read. That would be my, hey, let's not be, chasing at the highs. Let's let this cool down. Let's let it fill this gap. Let's pull back to Friday's highs and CPI highs. Let's turn that back into a low, and let's rip this thing back to new highs, right? That's A+ for me, okay? This scenario right here. If I could get one thing that I'd love to see today, I would love to close my eyes and then wake up to the market holding demand right here, right? Because that's where I would find the most confidence. Now, before that, we have levels that will potentially hold, and I want to talk about those now. The first one is the high from 8 p.m. or 6 p.m. last night, right? The futures open at 6 p.m. last night is 25,768. And you can see that exact futures high that we opened up and gapped up into and started to consolidate below has turned into an exact low here in the pre-market today, right? That's pretty damn clean. So you can see 25,768, which was this exact high, has turned into an exact low, and that is now going to be a level to watch on pullbacks intraday, right? So if we get a pullback here, does this hold, right? And does it create a long? Below that, you have the futures overnight low, right? Sort of the low from that 6 p.m. open, which held all throughout the night. So you can see this area right here between these highs and these lows is going to be a very important area to be paying attention to today. Do we get a pullback long inside of this zone? Do we see this hold on tight? And does this create a new floor throughout the week until earnings, right? That's the question. Does this create a new floor both today, tomorrow, and into FOMC on Wednesday and earnings on Wednesday, right? That's really the question mark. Or do you get the gap fill prior to those events? Okay? Do you get the gap fill prior to those events? Do you see this fail under 25,700? Do you get that gap fill move back to the 570 before Wednesday, before FOMC, before earnings, et cetera, et cetera? that's the first question that is in my mind this morning, and sort of the thing that I want to assess, I want to be conscious of, I want to be understanding of, right? That's sort of the thesis that I'm sort of trying to answer today and throughout the rest of the week. Do we need to fill this gap prior to earnings, prior to FOMC? I wouldn't mind looking for that short, to be quite honest. If we can get under 25,703, I would not mind looking for that short, but that short is with a very strong understanding that this is simply just a long opportunity after some downside, right? This would not be, I'm short here and this is the high, this is the all-time high and we're going to go lower, right? Because in my opinion, if you trade back into that CPA high and that Friday high, you should get some type of a bounce off this level, right? So if I'm going to look short, it would be under this low into the gap. Just really, this would be the only opportunity on the short side. Now, you have to ask yourself, do you want to take that short? No, that's up to you, right? Do you want to be short in this market right now? I don't know. I mean, probably not, but that could be a nice gap fill opportunity to be paying attention to. So something I will definitely watch. But that only happens if you fail under 25,768. That only happens if you fail under 25,7. If this area holds and it says, nope, I'm staying as a new floor here and I'm not going lower, then this market could just sort of grind higher off this 25.7. Okay? Where do I think the best pullback is? If you want me to give you big picture, this is way big picture, but the best pullback to me is right here in this golden zone. So I'm going to keep this zone golden for the remainder of forever, right, until it gets tested. And we'll see when it does. I could guarantee you that at some point we will test this level. It's just a perfect pullback to these previous highs, right? So take a look at this 4 hour on NQ. You have perfect highs here, perfect highs here. At some point, you will retest these highs. You will get your perfect retest long at some point. Now, that could be in a month. That could be next year, right? We have no idea. This thing could just stay straight up. And why? Because it went from here's your consolidation to expansion, right? We talk about this a lot. So we've had consolidation and welcome to expansion, right? After markets stay sideways for an extended period of time, you get your expansion move, right? So expansion moves can be sort of irrational, right? It can make it feel irrational. You have to remember that we just came out of a multi-week, multi-month consolidation period. So can this continue higher before it pulls back into the retest? Absolutely. All right. That's the thing that I think that messes up most people is like, hey, it's got to pull back to the retest, so I'm just going to short this here. Well, this could go to 26,600 before it goes back to 25, right? You're not going to want to be short 1,000 points you don't want to be in 1,000 points of drawdown on the NASDAQ. So I would say the only read that you would get for that to actually be a pullback opportunity and we're actually going to start going down is if you fail under, I would say first, of course, this 25.7 and then under Friday's highs. If you fail under 25.7 and under Friday's highs right here and right here, then I would say, okay, we're probably going to get our pullback to our golden zone. But without that, you might be in your expansion period much longer than just a single day. And this will also depend heavily on what FOMC and earnings does. So a lot of question marks. And really all we can do now is TTL, right? That's all we can do is just TTL. This level, if these hold, you're going up. If they break and you reject under this low, you're going down. If you turn this into a strong low, this could be a nice buying opportunity, all right? So these are the levels I'm watching. These are the areas I'm watching. And we now become monitors of price action, right? That's now what this becomes. After you build your game plan, all you do now is monitor price action, right? That's the goal now. So S&P 500, similar read. Where do I think the pullback should be, right? The best pullback, the number one pullback is right here. It's 67.90, 67.80. If you go to the 4 hour chart, that is a pretty much perfect pullback. It could be that all-time high as well. It's somewhere between this 68.12 to 68.90. This is your pullback level. One of these. You will get it eventually. Now, This is your expansion period. So expansion periods, like I said, could just extend more. That doesn't mean that's happening anytime in the short term. If you remember on Friday, our game plan in the pre-market, if maybe you just came for the pre-market and you didn't come for the live trading, well, our game plan on Friday was, can we hold above 68.12 all-time highs? That keeps the market higher. Well, if you go to Friday's open, that was pretty incredible, right? Right here at Friday's open, we had a absolutely perfect pullback long off 68.12 and the previous all-time high. So that's pretty awesome. That 68.12 definitely was really clean on Friday, right? This was 68.12 all-time highs, and that was a perfect off the open pullback long right off that level. So really clean there. Definitely some strength showing because of that. That will, of course, now be a pullback level to be watching. And Peterson, thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks for joining the coffee fund. 68.12. That's, of course, a level, right? And right now, the Friday high a day, right? That's your next level. Friday high a day. Can you stay below right here? Can you hold above right here? 68.40. That, to me, is going to be one of the top watches of the day. Can we get that pullback long at 68.40, 68.37? Can we get this? This would be really nice to start. This would be a good first look on a pullback opportunity. If you fail under 68.65, you will likely get your 68.40. That's a pretty nice 40-point gap on the ES, which really could be quite a nice downside trade today. So I am not opposed to looking to that. I'm not. If I see very clear failures under 65, I definitely would look for that short into 40. That's a 40-point gap on ES. That's worth it, in my opinion. 40 points on the ES is a pretty decent gap. So I would be looking for that, but that is only if you really fail below these lows, because what could this turn into? This could just turn into your new low, right? This could really just turn into your new low prior to Wednesday, prior to FOMC. Do we just maintain 68.65? Fail below it, gap fill into 40. That would then pick up as a new potential long opportunity for me. If you fail under 40, then you're going back to the 68.12, which is the Friday low a day. If you fail that, then you got your golden zone down below at 67.80. So everything is a pullback long in the right spots still on this market, right? Here, pullback long for me, or here. These are the big spots. Friday high day, or back at this 67.90. We are starting to see some signs of a high. Now, I do not trust that right now, and I would definitely not short. To me, I'm not shorting this. It's just, why short a random high up here? Sure, it is a rejection look, but there is no historical level here. So for me, that's not just a short. I'm not going to just short this high in a huge macro bullish uptrend. Would I look for a short if we fail under a low? Sure, right? That's a different story. Break and retest under a previous low, that influences downside. That would be an interesting watch. But from here, probably not. Right now, you're just in this channel between the gap up high and the gap up low, right? Look at that. The ES has basically traded sideways between the gap up high and gap up low between 68.90, 68.65. So about a 35-point consolidation here in the pre-market. Do we get a break and retest over 68.90? Or do we get a break and retest below 68.65? That's really where the trades would begin for me today, okay? That's where trades would begin for me today, outside of this zone. Inside of this zone, I would stay pretty cautious on my trading. If I can get one of these or one of these, I would really look to get aggressive today, right? That's really what I'm looking for, okay? SPY. SPY ETF. Same exact concepts here. You have your 681.28, which is that gap. Below that is your gap into the Friday high day at 678.50. So this could be an area to fade if you do break under that 681.28 towards that 678.50. That would be your gap fill. So gap below here into here. That could be a nice watch. I don't mind that. If you break and hold above 683.25, then you could look for that long, right? But here's the thing, right? you have to understand, if you long above these highs today, that you do still have this looming gap. And that is just sort of a concern, right? It's a concern to be long with such a major gap below here. Knowing that at any moment, if you get caught and trapped long, that this could really aggressively come down. So for my comfort level, for my stress levels, I really would like to be long after this fills, right? After we get a pullback to Friday highs. That would be preferable. Do we get it? That's another question. So 674 is my A+ long setup. Back to these highs. Get us a nice retest. Give us a nice re-entry long, right? Create that beautiful structure that we love and we know, right? We've seen it all the time. We get a big upside move. We get that downside. It creates that structure over previous highs. It curls back higher, and we get our next leg lower. So that would be ideal. Now, how frothy do we want to get here? How much expansion do we want to get here? Do we really need to get this pullback? Maybe not yet. Right? We have to understand that. It's not that it has to happen within this week. Could be months out. Could be weeks out. So we'll see. Underneath 681.28, 678.50, Friday highs. Under that, probably get your 674 potential. We'll see how that sets up. Watching price action, as always. Same thing on the Qs. We can see right here, QQQ. We have our gap below 622 into 618.50. That is your gap up from the overnight session. So make sure you are cautious of that. If you break under 622, I would assume you get that gap. That could be a nice short to look for. You just have to be, again, cautious that you're shorting into a very bullish market. So something to look for, definitely a possible opportunity. I would be paying attention to watch price action in that zone. If you hold over 622, you're going higher. Pullback longs at the Friday highs would be money. I definitely would look for that. And then for me, the number one long, which is just as clear as day, is right here. It's pretty damn clean. This is your best long. This is your high breakout. You will retest this. That could be a retest from 635, right? It doesn't have to be like, you can't just short a bullish move because you know it's going to retest. It will retest. So does every other move that we get on this market. You always see it pull back to the retest level. It probably will be in some type of a straight down day, right? Where everyone's like, holy crap, what a downside day. But guess what? That downside day is still above these highs. And then it's sort of the same. It's the same story every time, right? Big downside day, similar to what we got maybe like back here, right? Look at this. So previous highs, right? We were saying, hey, this is going to retest. Well, look at where it retested, straight down, right? So you get your expansion, and then you get your straight down move that panics everyone, but that's just the retest, right? So same concepts. You got your level that's going to retest. How far does this go before you get your downside, and this creates your next major long? These are the major longs that you really want to look out for. Those are like the A++++. Okay. Yep, that's it. 2,500 people here, 900 likes. Can we please press the like button? I would much appreciate that. Can we please press the like button? Press the like button, subscribe to the channel. Por favor. Is Palantir finally tradable? Well, we're going to look at it today. That's for sure. We will look at it today. We'll get a nice read on it. Press that like button. All right, let's jump into gold. So, gold futures sliding lower. And I think losing that daily 20 today is pretty important. So I am definitely still on the side of looking for downside here. You can see we have lost the daily 20. We have turned the 4,200 into rejections very clearly. You can see right here. Take a look at this hourly chart. we have a very clean previous low into highs. That's very nice. So you're structuring lower, which is bearish. So here's your structure. Here's your structure, right? So right now you are structuring lower. There is one level of demand that you do need to be careful of today before looking for a short. That is right here, and that is right here. 40-20, right? Right here. 40-20, 40-20. That's definitely an area that I'd like to see break. If we can break that, I would definitely look for the downside towards 39.60, which is these lows here, 39.60, underneath 40.20. But right now, what you can see that's happening, which is really my best fade spot of the day, which I'd like to be short, off of, is right here, this 40.80. See this high and this high? And that's also the daily 20. Look at how we lost that right there. That's pretty nice stuff, right? That's pretty nice stuff. We perfectly lost. We perfectly lost that daily 20 today. Bam. That was actually a pretty much straight down move after failing it. Look at this. So we lost your daily 20, turned it into failures. Bam. Big rejection. Do we continue to slide lower? Right? That's the question now. Do we continue to slide lower after failing under that daily 20 on gold? I would say that the fade is definitely possible with market strength. I would like to see this start to be inverse to the market. That would mean that would be good. That's how it's supposed to be, sort of. I mean, people will make an argument on that, but I think you're supposed to see, the inverse correlation a little bit, and you are starting to see a little bit of that inverse correlation again, where gold is sort of weak as markets are strong. We shall see, but you're definitely getting nice fades underneath that key previous low at 41.20, which is good. You are now in this sort of consolidation range. If you can break this range low at 40.20, I think you can get your next downside move. So definitely keep an eye on this today. On the gold side, underneath the daily 20. That is important. Okay. Let's go to the IWM real quick. IWM, really nice reclaim of 249, 248 right here. Look at this on the IWM today. Really clean stuff. See this? Previous highs. Look at this right there. Beautiful. So IWM's looking pretty good. I like this. As long as IWM's over 249, I think good for IWM. We just need to get over this 252.77 all-time high. So above that would be nice. This is your A+ long right here, 249. Okay. Let's go to the SMH real quick. SMH, big breakout of consolidation. You can see, right? Remember this? The SMH never filled the gap. Okay, so this is a good example of, yeah, sure, gap's there, but I don't really care about it, right? This is a great example. The SMH never filled this gap. Never. Since September of this year. Sorry, not September. Yeah, September. September 18th. So about a month, a little bit over a month, you had a gap up and you never looked back. So that just shows you, like, this is a gap up on the SPY. It could be a month until it fills, right? The SMH, I mean, will it ever fill? I think it probably will, but it's going to take some kind of bearish move on this market to come back to here. So interesting. Never filled. And I've had that bright blue zone in my charts for some time, and it's just like you can't really trade looking for that because nothing's breaking down. So it is what it is. You look past it until maybe you come back around towards that level. But for now, you can see the SMH consolidated beautifully over the daily 20, and this is your expansion period now, right? You have now entered an expansion period on the SMH. So for now, the opportunity to look long for me would be one of these right here, right? That's the best long for me. Pullback long, 350. Give me a pullback long of that previous all-time high there. Give me a little tap and go, little touch and go type trade. If we can get back there, even back to Friday's highs would be pretty nice. So Friday's highs, what a weird day on the SMH on Friday. Jeez, just sort of sideways. Friday's highs right around 353. Maybe that's, maybe you just get that. Maybe you don't get any more than that, but let's see. Let's see. All right. I'll look for that pullback to Friday's highs. I'll look for that pullback to 350. If we can get that, bam, big long opportunity on semis. Okay. Devor, thanks, Desiano, for the things you do for us. Can we include Cipher Mining? CIFR. Yeah. I can take a look at this for you. Cipher Mining. Oh, is this is rare earth? I'm assuming rare earth, or is this crypto mining? Oh, it's crypto mining. Okay. If it was rare earth, I would have been a lot more interested, personally. Because rare earth stocks are pretty hot. They report earnings. Did they report earnings? Earnings are on, okay, November 3rd. That's what it says. I'll just get this out of the way for you now, Devor. Nice daily 20 hold there. Nice retest of those previous highs. See that? No matter what stock you're looking at, I can never see the stock ever in my life, and you're still seeing retests, right? Pretty incredible. So I've never even heard of this stock, never seen it on a chart. Previous high. Look at this. Lows, 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 right? So that's pretty damn perfect. Now you're just watching this 2250 high, right, Devor? So if you can get a break and hold above this 2250, then you're looking for that next move higher. Either that, or you're looking for that long back at that 15 and that daily 20 area. So I would look for that. You could also look to see if it holds above this 21 spot, this high right here. See this? But then you would be longing into this 2250. So for me, that would just be a channel between 2250 and 15. So I would want to see a break over that 2250 spot. All right, let's move on. Tesla, just when you thought it was gonna go for you. Just when you thought Tesla was gonna break 450, what a ridiculous day on Friday. Unbelievable. Just popped into 450, got smoked to start the day, and went down all day. Does this mean that Tesla's bearish? No, it's still just within the channel. So there's no telling what Tesla is inside of this channel. We've talked about this 1,000 times. We've said this every single day, and again, it holds true. Again, even after the Friday move, which is just insane. So what am I going to tell you again? Tesla has to clear out this zone, or you're going to continue to get messed up. Would I like to see a lower high build, right? If I can maybe see a lower high build at the daily 20, could that give me some insight into maybe Tesla is actually going to break out? Sure, right? Sure. If I see the daily 20 hold and I'm like, hey, that's a pretty nice hold. It's looking pretty strong back into that high. After seeing that higher low build, that's pretty nice stuff. So that might give me confidence to say, hey, this time it might actually break. But there's no such thing as a trade until it breaks. There's no such thing. So, again, it's the same exact levels. NVIDIA, sad because this is a really, I hope it gives us another opportunity, but a really nice setup here on NVIDIA that has worked out and is pretty much over for now until you get some kind of a retracement. For now, it looks to be over to me. Previous highs, previous highs, previous highs, previous highs, into lows, into highs, back into a perfect low above the daily 20. Pretty much spot on NVIDIA, right? Perfect reclaim of these highs into that low above the daily 20. Pretty much perfect. That facilitates an upside move into these highs. And that trade is finito, right? That was the trade. The trade was reclaim 185 off the daily 20 into the 191 and take your profits. So that trade is finito. What now? You need to see whether it can hold above 191. If it can hold above 191, you can go 195, 196. But not Yeah, you're not longing here looking for this. If this rejects, this trade is technically over. So for me, pullback long would be, again, 185 if you can get it, or a hold over 191. Those are the only two opportunities here. What did Skrelly post? I always like looking at his tweets. Let me see. What did he tweet? You took that trade on Friday? Nice job, man. Very nice. Where is he? There he is. You posted a lot, so I don't know which one you're talking about. Okay. So, let's continue. AMD. Few setups to look for here on AMD. Number one, we just got, oh man. Yeah, he's always short quantum, which, it's got to be careful. He's probably right long term. I mean, this definitely probably a pretty frothy trade, but just got to be careful of getting squeezed out, That's the hard part. Getting squeezed out of that trade is not fun. Okay. AMD. Friday high a day right here. 253. Definitely on watch today. Love that pullback opportunity. Below that, this is such a money trade. This is such a money trade right now. If we can get a pullback to 244 on AMD, this is my trade right here, man. This is exactly what I will wait for. If we get this, this is going to be possibly a pretty decent swinger for me. That looks so incredibly clean to me. Right there. Right, go to the 4-hour chart. You have such a beautiful 4-hour triple top high. Such a structured high. If you even, if you start getting close back to this, I would absolutely look for that flagging breakout off of the retest of 244. That would be money. That's money right there. So that's my top watch moving forward this rest of this week. Whenever we get that 244, I want to make sure I'm on it. Another big watch for me today is Broadcom. You guys know I've been hawking Broadcom for quite some time. This right here, breakout of that flag, over 360. Over 360 today is definitely a watch for some longs. If we can hold over this 360 high, the high that rejected, I'm definitely targeting a move into 375. That's a big watch for me today. Okay. MU's just sort of far gone for me. This thing is a monstrosity, but it's just too far gone right now. The pullback levels for me on MU are 219, 220, and then below that, it is 211, 210. Those are going to be my pullback levels. Nothing for me today on MU besides a pullback. AMD and Broadcom are sort of more immediate watches. I think AMD, it could just hold this Friday high day, which could present an opportunity in itself. Deeper pullback 244, Broadcom 360. Big watches here for me. APP is actually a big watch for me today as well. Let me show you why. APP has very cleanly reclaimed this 619 spot. Very cleanly. Take a look at this 619 spot. So right here between Friday high a day and 619, you have very important reclaim action. Previous lows, highs. Also, daily 20. So for me, APP above that daily 20 and Friday high day, somewhere in between the 619, 627 spot, that is a big watch for me today. I think that could very easily find itself back to 673. Definitely a watch for me today, APP. It looks like this high here is maybe something to keep eyes on. 644s right up in there. But I would say if you can look for that long off this level right here, this 619, I really do like that today. Keep an eyes on that. Another one that's sort of curling back higher and definitely a top watch today. Chris, appreciate that, Chris, is Reddit. Guys, we talked about this Reddit last week. Take a look at this Reddit. You're starting to curl here. Over this daily high at 218, which you are above today. That's big stuff. That's big time. All right. Over this 218 high, you got a gap to fill at 225. But if you can start turning that 225 and that daily 50 into support, I think you're heading back to this 250. Right. One of these curlers. This looks pretty spot on right now. So big watch here. You are perfectly holding over that 218 spot. If you can reclaim that 225 and that daily 50, I think you're all systems go. So, yeah, definitely watching a little bit of Reddit. You do have earnings this week, so a little bit careful there. But if you can start reclaiming these highs, that daily 50, 225, I would definitely be eyes on this one today. A little bit of Reddit action. It's been a decent trade. Amazon. Who remembers our daily 200 idea? It is absolutely starting to fire, and I want to be all over this because I think you're finally getting a little bit. Here's the problem, though. The problem, again, is earnings, man. It just sucks. It sucks that you got earnings that's going to get in the way of these beautiful setups, but sometimes you got to take it, right? Anyways, you can see Amazon, perfect flag, daily 200, holding strong, curling off the daily 200. This has been our watch for a very long time. If you can get above these daily highs right here, which is 228.21, which you are holding above perfectly this morning, that is quite a watch for me. 228.21 is an exact daily double top high right here. Bam, bam. If you hold above that today and have a maintain above that, I say upside. If markets stay strong, of course. So big watch there today, 228.21, daily double top highs. I'm going to see if that maintains. Hood, very nice hood. We were trying to long on a reclaim of these lows and these highs on Friday. It just didn't quite do it for us on Friday, but you can see this morning it sure as hell is. Pull back long, 140, 141. Pull back long, daily 20. That's my long into 147. That's definitely a watch there. Aklo, heating back up, needs to break over 148. Apple. This is really nice. Apple holding right above Friday high a day. This is definitely one of my top watches today. Right here. Apple holding perfectly over Friday high a day. Right here, right here, right here. Can you hold right above that Friday high a day on Apple? Apple, one of the strongest names out there. That's definitely a watch. That's one of my top watches. Lululemon. Uh-oh. Okay, you got a little bit in. So they're making some moves, Lululemon. Got it. We were just talking about this. That's funny. Lululemon, NFL apparel for the first time in a Fanatics deal. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, we were just talking about this on Lulu, that they need to do something, and it looks like they are. Interesting. Okay. Daily chart. What do we got? I mean, you got your gap. You got your gap to 197. That's probably the target right now, I'd say. Yeah, you probably get your gap to 197. Let's see what it looks like today. Yeah, daily 50 holding, 180 holding. Nice reclaim above this level. Some news. Could start to build its way. Let's track this. Let's track this. All right. There's plenty more to look at today, man. There's a lot of stocks out there today. Meta, 745 in the daily 50. Nice watch there. Microsoft, pullback 525. Nice watch there. ASTS is sort of interesting. Back over 78. There's a lot of watches. Let me put it at that. But my main today, AMD pullback 253, 244. Broadcom 360. Amazon over that 228.20. Want to keep a little bit of an eye on Google because I think the Google pullback to 258 would be such an A-plus trade. Obviously, there's earnings, though. Want to keep an eye on that Reddit. over that 225. And I want to definitely keep an eye on Apple over Friday high a day. It just perfectly, look at this. It's perfectly holding it. That's a big watch. Okay, guys, I hope you have a fantastic trading day. Make sure to register to our free trading stream on November 16th, 17th, and 18th. We will be having that stream. We'll be doing something similar to what we did on Friday. Pretty much a one-time thing. Just going to have some fun with you guys again on that November 16th, 17th, 18th. Sunday, we'll do some prep. Monday, Tuesday, we'll do live trading. You can learn more about it in the link below. It says 3-day registration down below in the description. Totally free. Just got to register to get the link. That's all. It's going to be a private link, so just got to put your name down there. If you want to trade live with me every day, where we do it every day, right? We do that every day regardless, but that's within our group. So if you want to check that out, it's down in the description as well. All right. Attendance form is down there as well, pretty sure. And yes, it is. Record your attendance. It's down there. Just got to look for it. All right. I hope you have a fantastic trading day. Good luck out there. Make sure to be careful of the gap ups. Don't get stuck being long at all-time highs. If we get a little bit of a pullback, that's about it. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.